Now it's time for some New York Mets baseball talk. Here's Gary Mack bringing you the latest news and analysis from Mets Nation and the world of baseball on another edition of Mets Musings.
And hello and welcome to another edition of Mets Musings, episode number 293. Hope everybody had a great week out there. Well, you know, the Mets are playing a little bit better. No denying that. They're playing a little bit better. Still a long way to go. They got a big hill to climb, and whether they can do it or not, I don't think so. And I think they're looking for 2018, as I am pleased to announce a trade. The Mets traded today first baseman Lucas Duda to the Tampa Bay Rays for Drew Smith, a double-A pitcher. Has good numbers, don't know a lot about him, but was a third-round draft pick, so not too shabby. Third round, not bad. It's not great, but look, this is what you're going to get for what the Mets have at this point in time. So, Mets trade Lucas Duda, get Drew Smith, prospect from the Tampa Bay Rays, and I was a Lucas Duda fan. Anybody that's listening to this show, I always thought he was better than Ike Davis, and turns out that he was, but now he's moving on to another team. Probably do a lot of DHing in Tampa Bay, as they do have Logan Morrison there playing first and DHing, and he's having a terrific year. So don't think that he's going to put Duda in at first base over him. Maybe they will, but Logan Morrison is a pretty good infielder as well. So we'll see how that works out for the Rays. But that's the first move. We expect Cabrera to be gone before the trading deadline is up. No word whether Dominic Smith will be called up. Jay Bruce, I believe, is penciled in, let's say, to play first base tonight and maybe playing the next couple of days until they decide to bring up Dominic Smith. They could use Wilmer Flores there or TJ Rivera in the interim. Wouldn't it be ironic, though, if Dom Smith made it up before Rosario? But Rosario should be up within the week, and I guess they're waiting now to get rid of Cabrera. That's the only reason that it seems the only reason that Rosario's not here. So we'll see how this shakes out now. But Lucas Duda traded to Tampa Bay. That opens up first base for Dominic Smith, definitely next year. They could use. They also could use Neil Walker when he returns this week as well. They could try playing him at first base, and we'll see how it all shakes out. We'll see what Terry does and what else Sandy Alderson has up his sleeve. But it's good to see that he at least made a move, and we'll see what the next moves are. Let's see, in Mets world, some of the news of the moment. Right-handed pitcher Zach Wheeler has been placed on a 10-day disabled list due to a stress reaction in his right arm. Have no idea what that means, but he's had a bunch of bumps in the road since he came back this year and struggling a little bit, and I guess he's a slower healer than most, and we'll see. Let's hope that, that he can come back from this, some rest, and he'll come back as good. He said that the bone was irritated, not a fracture, but just irritated. The team has not yet given a timetable for when Wheeler could come back. So we'll see. Congratulations this week go out to Jose Reyes as he recorded the 500th stolen bases of his career when he swiped second during the eighth inning of Monday night's game against the Padres in San Diego. Immediately after the game, the team congratulated itself for defeating the Padres. Reyes unlocked second base and kept it as a souvenir. So congratulations to Jose. Look, guys, been through some of the some of the ringer, and a lot of it brought on by himself, and coming out the other side, and really wants to play here, wants to stay here. I'd consider signing him for next year at a very reasonable contract, if you can get him at a reasonable contract, and keeping him around with the young Latin players. He's very good with the young players. And look, if he decides to retire, you can always. I would grab him as a coach or a manager in one of the lower levels and let him work his way up through the system in that aspect, and see what he could do. I think he's very good with the Latin players, and with the influx of the Dominican players and other Latin American countries, he would be very helpful to this Mets team. As would, I think, Bartolo Colon if he decides to retire. So maybe you have a couple of new coaches on the minor league level for the Mets in the next few years. And right now we're about 4 days away from the trade deadline. Addison Reed is still being talked about, though some people feel he may have been overused by Terry Collins, but other scouts are still high on Addison Reed, and the Mets may try to bundle him with someone. Rumor was they were going to try to bundle him with Duda, but now that Duda has been moved, that doesn't look like it's going to happen, of course. So they may try to bundle him with somebody else, maybe a Cabrera, maybe a Jay Bruce. At this time, there seems to be no market for Jay Bruce, not much of a market. So maybe perhaps the Mets would be better off keeping him and try to sign him in the offseason, though he's given every indication he wants to at least test the free agent waters. So whether or not he would come back is anyone's guess, but they could make him an offer. They would have a week, I believe it is, after the World Series to try to sign him as a free agent. And after that, then he goes into the pool with everybody else, and anybody can talk to him. But they have total access to him after the World Series. And let's see if that happens for Jay Bruce. If they can't move him, I don't know. They have other guys with expiring contracts, Jerry Blevins as well, and I said Addison Reed, Jay Bruce, of course. So we'll see a Curtis Granderson. Now, there is a market somewhat developing for Curtis Granderson, so that'll be worth watching, too, to see how that plays out as we go along. And the New York Post is reporting an article by Kevin Kernan that Yoenis Cespedes says he has to change his workout routine. That he did the wrong kind of routine, getting too strong. He needs to get more flexible, more agile, and getting better at baseball shape. Well, where have we heard that before? I've been yelling and screaming about that for the last months. I don't know how many months. And I'm glad to see that Yoenis Cespedes is getting the message. And by the way, Noah Syndergaard came out and said his off-season workout was also wrong. So it's like both of them have had a revelation here that the injuries that they're suffering was caused by their own workouts and the type of workouts that they did. And they are going to make an effort to fix it. And that's all you can ask. And hopefully they'll learn their lesson. And maybe they'll take a page out of Jacob deGrom's book, because Jacob has changed his workout routine in season, and it seems to be paying dividends for him. Steven Matz says he's interested in trying it, but I don't know if he did it this week, but Steven Matz was absolutely horrible again last night. Shame to see, but that's the way it goes, He's having a rough season this year, and maybe it's kind of a delayed sophomore jinx or whatever, but Matz is just really struggling. And of course he lost the couple of months with the injury coming out of spring training. and that could have really set him back. Hasn't seemed to hurt Seth Lugo that much, but who knows? Everybody is different. All right, let's see. One more piece of news. Chris Flexen, Double-A pitcher, highly rated prospect, is going to be on the mound tonight for the MetsMusings, and this is going to be something exciting for this young man, 23 years old. He will make his major league debut tonight in San Diego. So let's keep our fingers crossed that this guy is the real deal and comes out. And wouldn't it be nice for him to come out and pitch a terrific game and beat the – and this is a good team to pitch against, even though they have some good hitters on this team. They have some home run power on this team. So he'll have to keep the ball down and in the ballpark. But good luck tonight to Chris Flexen, 23-year-old, all the way up from Double-A Binghamton to pitch tonight against the Padres for the New York Mets in his major league debut. Exciting time for the young man. All right, let's take a break here and come back after these messages.
Looking for great Cardinals talk? Then check out Conversations with C70. My name's Daniel Shoptaw, and I talk with some of the great bloggers on the internet today about their teams, but it always goes back to the Cardinals. Find the latest episode on my website, www.cardinal70.com, or at baseballpodcast.net.
Did you know that Baseball PhD can be heard on baseballtalkradio.com?
Our shows rotate with other top baseball podcasts.
Now don't forget, that's baseballtalkradio.com.
With us, we'll help you get a PhD in life through baseball.
With baseballtalkradio.com, you'll hear the rest of the excellent universe of baseball podcasts.
516-619-6341. That is the comment voicemail hotline if you'd like to be a part of the show, and drop us a line, leave us a comment or a voicemail, question, anything at all. Call that number, 516-619-6341, or go to MetsMusings.com and click on that widget in the middle of the screen, and that's a speak pipe, and you can leave a voicemail right through your computer through your computer's microphone. Or if you prefer to do things the old-fashioned way, send us an email at metsmusings@gmail.com. The Facebook page is facebook.com/groups/MetsMusings, and the Twitter handle is at MetsMusings1.
With all the Mets news, it is the news from around the world and around the corner. Here's Gary Mack.
And I'm back, and I'm joined now with the editor of Off Day Blog, a Seattle Mariner blog, and a host of the podcast of the same name, and he is Chace Davy. And Chace, thank you for coming on the show tonight.
No problem. Thanks for having me. You know, this is a big series for both of us, really, if you think about it.
Now, I have to be honest with you. I don't know if it's just the American League or it's the Western Division, but we know so little about the Seattle Mariners. And I was, other than Robertson, Cano, and but that's about it. And Segura, of course, who played in the National League. But I'm counting on you tonight to educate us all about the Seattle Mariners. So,
all right. Well, to be honest with you, man, we don't even know that much about the Seattle Mariners over here in Seattle either. We've just been plagued by injuries all day, since the start of the season, since before the start of the season, It started with Drew Smyly going out after his WBC time, and then it just went downhill from there.
And injuries being a big part of the Mets as well this year. So it seems to be a trend, and it's all across baseball, and I won't go on about that because the people that listen to this show regularly hear me complain. I think these guys are just in too good a shape, but it's not the baseball shape. They all want to be on Muscle Beach, and it's not a good thing.
Well, injuries happen every single year in every sport, and it's not really anything you can avoid. But, you would hope that these guys, being professional athletes, take a little bit better care of themselves. Obviously, that hasn't been the case.
Exactly. And so the Mariners got off to that slow start, a lot of it with the injuries, and but they've seemed to righted the ship. They've been playing better baseball lately. What has brought about the change, the hot streak, if you will, and do they still have a good shot?
Oh man, I wouldn't even know if I would call it a hot streak. Like, I mean, we've been winning. We've been hovering right around that 500 mark for so long, and it seems like every time we get to it, we lose 4 in a row, and then we got to climb our way, fight our way back up, and so it's not so much as a hot streak as it is us being inconsistently good, I guess I would call it. But a lot of it is, honestly, it's thanks to our hitting. We have, this is one of the best hitting rosters that the Mariners have seen in years. You got Gamble and Segura up there. Gamble, a former Yankee, and Segura from the Diamondbacks, and they're I think number 2 and 4, number 2 and 5 in the American League in hitting right now. So you have those two up there at 1 and 2, and then you got Cruz is kind of been turning it on up there. Robinson Cano is kind of having an off year, but he's been producing enough. And, from there, it just kind of goes on down the lineup. And most of the players that we have been, when necessary, producing to get us up to that 500 point. All we need now is to sweep your Mets and move on past it.
Now, wait a second. We need to sweep to try to get back into something here,
I mean, I feel like both teams are in a very interesting spot when it comes to the playoffs. The Mariners currently sitting at 3.5 back of a wild card spot, and I don't think your Mets are too far out of that. Am I correct?
Well, the wild card, we're 9 games back, so we're a good deal back. You're a lot closer. You're only 3.5 back, and we are, 5 games under 500. So you're closer to it than we are right now. But both teams could go on a hot streak hypothetically and get right back in it. We have 7 weeks left. Mm-hmm. 7 weeks is plenty of time for a team to flounder up at the top of the wild card and let you guys push through if you guys are able to succeed. But yeah, this series is a big one because for both of us, I think it's time for us to start winning and winning consistently right now. And I think it's big also for the fact that the deadline is next week, the trading deadline, and teams are going to make a decision. The Mets are you won't be seeing Lucas Duda. He got traded today. So did he go to the Yankees? I heard we were in contention for him. I just got off work. No, he went to Tampa Bay Rays.
To Tampa Bay? That's not what I was expecting at all.
Yes, very very strange. They were talking about Tampa Bay and they were talking about a package with Addison Reed, and then it just turned out that it was just Duda was the only one that went. So you won't be facing him now. You'll be facing him as a Tampa Bay Ray should you have any games left with that division. I don't know.
I don't think we do.
Yeah, well, then you wouldn't have to worry about his bat.
Yep.
But there's still some other guys we can put out there that may hurt you guys. So.
I mean, you still got DeGrom out there. That's the matchup I'm worried about most, honestly.
Yeah, DeGrom has been pitching extremely well. He's red hot, and I guess he'll be pitching when, Saturday or?
Yeah, he's going to be according to MLB right now. He's going to be pitching Saturday.
And Friday night is Montero against
Ariel Miranda.
All right, tell us a little bit about him.
Okay, Ariel Miranda. He is one of our youngest pitchers. He's been in the league a couple of years. This is one of the first seasons that he's been kind of a full-time guy. He hopped on at the end of last season, didn't even make the roster at the beginning of the season this year, but opening day anyways. And thanks to 4 starting pitchers being out on injury at one point on the Mariners roster, Miranda got the call-up, and he's really been doing good for us. recently. I will tell you that he likes to give up the home run. So if the Mets are a home run team, you guys have a pretty good shot at him. But other than that, he's got some good stuff, and if he's on, he is on. Very much a fly ball pitcher. Doesn't get a whole bunch of strikeouts. But but I was listening to a Mariners game once, and the stat is a quarter of the hits that he gives up are home runs. So you have that to look forward to.
Well, that's good, but depending upon who's left in our lineup by the time we get there, like I said, the trade deadline's coming. We could be very thin by the time we get there, but who knows? Will we see King Felix this weekend at all?
No, but you will see what I'm going to argue is the better pitcher this year is James Paxton. James Paxton is going to be pitching on Sunday against Seth Lugo, it looks like.
All right.
Paxton has he's the Big Maple is his nickname, which, first of all, tell me what you think about he's Canadian. I'll give you that much, all right?
Well,
so,
okay.
For initial reactions to facing the Big Maple as a nickname.
Well, it's definitely a different nickname. Let's put it that way.
All right, I'll tell you straight up. I don't like it at all. I think it's stupid. It doesn't roll off the tongue easily.
No, it doesn't.
The only thing it does have going for it is we have his last start. The Mariners supplied a maple tree to one of the sections in the outfield, and they're starting the Maple Grove.
Okay.
So,
well,
King Felix has his King's Court when he pitches, and James Paxton now has his Maple Grove. Yeah. But let's run through that since we're on it right now. That's Sunday. James Paxton is 10-3 with a 2.84 ERA and 117 strikeouts. He's faced only one player in your rotation, and that's Jose Reyes, who's batting 1 for 3 against him. So he's going to be facing everybody for the first time, basically.
And it's just amazing how we've heard so very little about these guys.
Well, Paxton has had struggles with injuries his entire career so far. I think he's 26 right now, if I remember correctly. But, last year he's just had a whole bunch of freak accidents. He had a fingernail fall off last season that kept him out for a little while. He was out a little while this year, too, with an injury that it was kind of like a freak thing. But now that he's back, he's been, especially in his last start, he was dominant. He had like 10 strikeouts and I think 1 earned run. When Paxton is on, he's a shutdown pitcher. He's honestly one of the best pitchers, in my opinion, anyways, in the league.
Well, and we'll be seeing him Sunday, and Saturday's pitcher will be who's going to go against DeGrom?
Oh, man, that's Giovanni Gallardo.
Oh, we're familiar with him.
It's not. Can you hear the disappointment in my voice?
I do, but
So for you Mets listeners out there, Giovanni Gallardo started the season as the 5-man in our rotation. Did very poorly. We demoted him to the bullpen where he did all right. He was a good long man, long reliever kind of guy. Came in when the game was out of hand, or in situations where we needed someone to go a couple of innings, and he did passable. And for some reason, we're starting him back in the starting rotation, and he's terrible. We'll leave it at that.
So things are looking up for Saturday's game.
Yeah, and that's Jacob deGrom too. So you guys are in luck there. I'll tell you right now, I'm fully expecting us to lose that game.
Okay, so there goes your sweep.
Yeah, there goes the sweep. The Mariners pitchers are not good when it comes to star pitching. At least they're not good at the plate when it comes to star pitching. So I get the sense that DeGrom's going to come in and do what he does, like he's been doing the past couple of years, and you'll probably win like 3 or 4 to 1, something like that.
Well, we're hoping it's like 10 to 1, so.
I mean, a win's a win. Come on, don't get greedy now.
Okay, all right, that's fair. Now, in the bullpen, how has the bullpen fared this year?
Mariners bullpen, at least recently, has been lights out. They've been one of the best bullpens in the American League. So, as long as we can limit you guys to a couple of runs and our offense decides to show up this series, which you never know when it comes to the Mariners offense. Sometimes we score 8 runs and sometimes we score 0. But the bullpen has been pretty lights out as of like the last month or so, month and a half. One of the best in the American League. So even if you get to us early, you're gonna have to go through, Pezos, who, to be fair, has been struggling recently. Our closer Edwin Diaz, who pitched in the WBC beautifully, and yeah, you guys, I'll good luck. Good luck against our bullpen. I'll tell you that much. And we just traded, actually, now that I'm remembering it. We traded for, why am I blanking on his name right now? I'm terrible with names. We traded for somebody. I've got the internet in front of me. I'm gonna Google this right now. We traded for someone, and he had his debut and did pretty well.
Okay. And when you find his name out, let us know. But I forget myself, to tell you the truth. There's been such movement going on the last couple of days, and who can keep track?
David Phelps. That's right. We picked up David Phelps
from Miami.
2017 MLB career stats. Hold on 1 second. We can go to Baseball Reference. Yeah, from Miami.
Okay. Oh, so we know him too.
Yeah.
And being that it is a home game for Seattle when Mets are out there, there will be a DH in effect. Good for you guys. I don't know who we're going to use. We just traded the guy that we probably would have used. But speaking of DHs, you've got Nelson Cruz there, who looks by his numbers is having a pretty decent year.
Not standout by any means, but yeah, he's been passable.
It's decent. 20 home runs, 75 RBIs, if I'm reading this right. 275, and he had his picture taken with Joe West. So what more can you ask for?
Hey, anytime you've got an all-star, a couple of all-stars in this case, be they substitutions or not, you're doing a pretty good job as a team. Nelson Cruz, last year he was that 40 home run guy who always came in the clutch, and this year he has been less of that. I think his strikeouts are up and his home runs are down. That's not for a DH. My philosophy is you want to have a DH that has a high on base percentage. He doesn't have to be jacking home runs left and right. He has to be able to get on base and with hits to advance everybody around, and that really hasn't been Cruz this year.
And very odd in a year where the home runs are flying out of the ballparks and his numbers are down.
Yeah, and he's a really strong guy too. It shocks me that his numbers are down as much as they are. I read something that he was the other day that he's been playing through injury, and he's got some hamstring, something that's been bothering all year. So that probably plays a little bit of a factor.
Yeah, probably true. Probably not getting the drive off his legs that he's gotten in the past, and that'll do it to you. I mean, Yoenis Cespedes' numbers has been down. He's been battling leg injuries all year, and a lot of it was brought on by his off-season workout program that he was trying to deadlift or lift or bench press, whatever they called it, like 800 pounds of weights he was doing. And They thought it was going to make him stronger, and what it's done is made him more I guess, muscle bound tighter, and he's been battling hamstring and a quadricep for the last 2 years. So
Yeah, that's what happens when you put on too much muscle, though, is you're not, you lose a lot of flexibility.
and
That's
that's
just
it.
works.
And Noah Syndergaard did the same thing. He put, depending upon what you read or who reports it, he put on 17 pounds of muscle. But I've also read that he didn't throw all winter. So how are you going to put that much weight on and then not throw? And then when you go to throw, everything's out of whack. And he tore a muscle, so you won't see him. He's starting to come back now. And both those guys have said that they are going to change their off-season programs. Hooray!
It's good for both of you.
Yeah. Now behind the plate, you've got a guy by the name of Zunino, and he's having a pretty decent year, if I'm not mistaken. A little bit of a surprise back there.
Zanino is our star defensive catcher. We'll put it that way. He's great behind the plate. He will get to everything. I would be surprised if you saw a pass ball, maybe a wild pitch, but I'd be surprised if you see a pass ball this entire 3-game series. He's that good behind the plate. He gets to everything. At the plate, he goes through streaks. He'll go on a hot streak. He just recently went on a hot streak of the whole month of June. We called it Junino instead of Zunino, where he hit like 11 home runs in the month of June, and his on-base percentage was through the roof. And in the month of July, he kind of came crashing down. So me and my co-host have a bet where I bet him an entire night of drinking on my dime if Zunino batted between 228 or sorry 218 and 228 is how we'd have to end the season in that batting range. And he was at one point all the way up at like 280 through the month after the month of June. And since then, it's fallen back into that like 220 range.
Wow.
So he's come crashing down.
Big time.
Fingers crossed that he fixes himself. But Zanino's a guy that likes to swing a lot, and he likes to strike out a lot because of it.
Well, maybe August, because he had the good June and the bad July. Maybe August will be a good month, and
I'm hoping so. We need him.
And we'll be out of town August, so when August comes around. So that's even better. He can get as hot as he wants to in the month of August.
I'll take it, 100%. I'll take it.
Now, we've seen across baseball that defense and base running hasn't been on the top of the list lately. How are the Mariners defensively?
I can't complain at all. We've got an outfield is probably the best part of our defense. Those guys, we have Dyson, Heredia, Gamble, Mitch Haniger. We've got a lot of outfielders, and that's something we bring up on the Off Day podcast a lot is our plethora of outfield talent. And all those guys will get to everything that is physically possible to get to. At the plate, they're not. They're passable. I like Dyson. It's always nice when you guys have guys that are quick at the plate because they can beat out infield hits and they can steal bases, and it's just good baseball. But our outfield's the best unit, I'd say. We've got Segura out there who the last week single-handedly prevented a walk-off by, I think we were playing the Rangers. He made 3 assists, infield assists with runners on third base to prevent them from scoring, and we ended up winning that game in the bottom of the 10th inning. Segura should have been an all-star. Surprised he wasn't. Seager out there is not Gold Glove anymore by any standard, but he's passable. And you got Robinson Cano over at first base. Oh my God, it's been a long day. Robinson Cano's playing second base. He provides steady defense the whole way through. And we got Danny Valencia over at first, who's basically your average first baseman who doesn't hit a whole bunch of home runs.
Now, of course, you mentioned Robinson Cano. Cano got the huge contract to go out to play for the Mariners. How was that contract accepted out there by the Mariner fans? And after a few years, how are they with it now? Are they happy with it? Do they think it was a big mistake? What's the feeling?
To be honest, it's a lot of 50-50. A lot of the guys that I hang out with, he's not. I'll tell you, he's not earning his. It was $240 million over 10 years. I don't think he's earning his $24 million a year personally. I know there's a lot of people that feel the same way. We'd like to see his production numbers up a little bit, but there are people that on the flip side of the coin, they love Robinson Cano. And in the first few years of this contract, every time he came up to plate at home in a clutch situation, the whole crowd would be on their feet cheering, wanting him to get hit because we paid this money. And more times than not, he would. This year hasn't really been the case. But, overall, I'd say the contract was probably a good deal.
And how many more years is left on that contract?
It's, I don't know. It feels like we've had him for forever now. I just, at this point for me, it's like I wouldn't mind to see him traded, but we don't have anybody to come up and replace him right now. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more years with the Mariners. He's signed through 2023.
And with a contract that size, it's very, very tough to get rid of him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's going to probably finish out his playing days in Seattle. He's going to retire. I assume he's probably going to retire before 40. So, who knows what's going to happen in the next couple of years, but I feel like a lot more teams are willing to spend more money, and if they want an aging Robinson Cano to play second base, then maybe they'll buy him. Who knows? I think if you're going to trade him, now is probably going to be the year, though.
Right. And speaking of trades, we spoke a little bit earlier about a trade. Do you think the Mariners will have any other moves? Are they rumored to be in the hunt for anybody else? Until the 31st.
Trader Jerry DePoto, our GM, TJ, as we call him affectionately over in Seattle. He's always thinking about trades, and I think he's made 2 moves in the past week. We got Marco Gonzalez and David Phelps, both relievers, one from Miami, the other from St. Louis. We traded prospects for Gonzalez, who's another prospect coming out of the Phillies organization. But I imagine we're going to be buyers at the deadline. We still need desperately starting pitching. Like I said earlier, our bullpen is on point, and our offense has been more or less good, I guess I'd say. But our starting pitching is the worst part of those 3. And, we've got Giovanni Gallardo out there who gives up hits like they're candy. It's ridiculous. So I can't imagine us going out for, waiting until keeping the roster the way it is. We've been in talks with the Giants. Apparently, I've heard Samardzija's on the table along with a couple of other people from the Giants, the Padres, etc. So we're looking for starting pitcher. I'd be surprised if a deal isn't done in the next couple of days. I know for a fact that DePoto is looking for one.
Well, it's an exciting time in the baseball season, and not only because the Mets are playing interleague against Seattle, but also with the trade deadline looming, and I'm sure there's a lot of players on pins and needles right now, waiting to see if they're going to stay or they're going to go and where they're going to go. So it should be an interesting weekend. And now's the time in the show you can go plug whatever you like to plug.
Well, of course, I've always got to plug my podcast, the Off Day Podcast. You can find us on SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/Off Day Podcast. Like us on Facebook and Twitter. I doubt I'm listening to any Mariners fans are listening, but if you are, go ahead and like us. I'd also like to shout out Kyle Kuhn, my co-host, the dude who's always smarter than me, and my mom. There we go.
All right, just like the football players, you got to get the mom in.
Of course, always.
Well, Chace, thanks so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. It was good. Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Anytime, and I'll be back right after these messages.
Check us out at MetsMusings.com and find the Mets Musings podcast on Stitcher.com, TuneIn.com, iTunes, Flipboard, and at BaseballPodcasts.net. That's BaseballPodcasts with an S.net.
Did you know that Baseball PhD can be heard on BaseballTalkRadio.com?
Our shows rotate with other top baseball podcasts.
Now don't forget, that's BaseballTalkRadio.com.
With us, we'll help you get a PhD in life through baseball.
With BaseballTalkRadio.com, you'll hear the rest of the excellent universe of baseball podcasts.
And check out BaseballTalkRadio.com and get the Baseball PhD there, as well as this show and the Baseball Talk Radio show that I co-host with my good friend Rich Baxter, who is also the host of Phillies Talk. So you can check all of them out at BaseballTalkRadio.com, the home of great baseball talk shows. All right, before we go, we've got a voicemail this evening, so let's get to it from Jerry on Long Island. And Jerry, take it away.
Hey, Gary, this is Jerry from Long Island. With a suggested trade, Reed and Duda to Tampa for prospects, and perhaps the Mets pick them up, Reed up, re-sign Reed after the season as a free agent. What do you think of that? Okay, thank you.
All right, well, Jerry, thanks for the voicemail, and I guess we're a little late now because half of that deal was made. Duda was traded to the Tampa Bay Rays for a prospect. Addison Reed is still a Met. As I said earlier in the show, there is some that feel that Addison Reed has been overused by Terry Collins. Others still like your stuff and like him, so we'll say give him a couple of days off and he'll probably be good as new. But thanks again for the call, Jerry. And as far as you mentioned about Reed, signing Reed again after the end of the year, that's a possibility. Yankees did it last year with Chapman. Who knows? Will they have the money to afford him back? Will they break somebody in this year to be the setup man for Familia? Don't forget, Familia will be back next year. Hopefully, he'll make an appearance this year sometime. And they'll need really an eighth inning guy, and that guy could be sitting in the bullpen now. It could be a Seawald, could be a Robles, could be Blevins if they decide to re-sign him. Who knows? And if they don't trade Blevins in the next week or so. But could be any number of guys. But I'm sure they'll look at it in the offseason and see where they are. This will be an audition for everybody in the bullpen, especially if they trade Reed. If they trade Reed, they're going to need somebody to close the games. My guess it'll be Blevins, or it may be a committee. They'll try Blevins, they'll try Robles, they'll try Seawald. They might even try Tyler Pill. We'll have to see how that is going to play itself out in the next rest of the season as we go along. But these guys, they're going to have an opportunity. And look, with these trades, with this trade so far, and we know Rosario's coming up. I would imagine Dominic Smith will be up to replace Duda. These guys have a golden opportunity. This team is not that far away from being a good team. And the key is they have the pitching staff. They don't have a healthy pitching staff right now, but with a healthy pitching staff, they've got that backbone of a good organization, of a good team. And they just got to get these guys healthy and out on the field. And these guys will have an opportunity, the young guys, to prove that they should be on this team and can take this team to the next level along with the pitching. So they're not that far off. They have, experience. Even Conforto now, he's a young guy, but the experience he's gotten over the last 3 years in 15 and even the tribulations and trials he had last year, and having a good year this year, coming back and really, showing what he can do. It bodes well. He has the experience now under his belt. He's going to be one of those young veterans. And if you keep a guy like Reyes around to work with Rosario and to a certain extent Smith, and you'll have other guys that can, work with Smith and take him under his wing. And you have Cespedes there. Cespedes is a good he will be he's got lots of experience and playoff experience, so he'll be there. He'll be healthy next year. So I know we're looking ahead to next year, but that seems to be the way that we're going to have to look from now on and see what they can put together. But this is a big opportunity for these guys now, and they have to grab the bull by the horn and prove that they can do it. And even right down to a Wilmer Flores and a TJ Rivera and whoever else that they may bring up, these young guys, Tyler Pill, Seth Lugo's got to show he can still, he can be as good as he was or nearly as good as he was last year. And even to a certain extent, Steven Matz, whose stock is falling quite a bit with these last outings. Now, we know he's got great stuff. We know he's got the potential. But with him, he's got to stay healthy, and now it may be mechanics, it may be in his head, who knows? But they have to do something along those. They got to get him straightened out as well. We'll see what Chris Flexen does in his debut. Could he be another arm to look for in the future? A lot of hope, I think, but we had a lot of hope going into this season. So we'll see how it all plays out. But again, golden opportunities, these guys, and they really have to take advantage of the situation. And that's going to wrap it up for this week's show. I hope you'll all tune in next week, again, when we have another, hopefully another guest, and another episode of MetsMusings. So tune in then, and thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you again the next week. And remember, keep the faith, stay optimistic, and let's go Mets.